So we had some really great discussions in the meeting today. One of the really big topics that we talked about was the topic of brand safety. So brand safety has been a really hot topic for the advertising industry for several years now. But today what we tried to do was address it from a policy perspective. There is actually a new piece of legislation being worked on in Europe at the moment called the e-privacy regulation, which will actually add extra rules on top of GDPR that focuses specifically on getting consent for online tracking to collect the kind of data that's used a lot for online advertising. This is something that we were discussing today because we're watching very closely what is happening and what the potential impact could be.
Today's meeting was very interesting for me for two reasons. The first one is to have a recap on various policy issues I don't necessarily follow day after day, so that was the first point. The second one is there is a brand safety discussion that I'm looking forward to. It's one of these discussions we have time to time here that I don't have elsewhere, and is quite useful for my day-to-day job.
The meeting of the Policy Action Group is a really good forum to be able to discuss the issues of the day, whether that be e-privacy or consumer protection, in a format where you learn not just about what other brands are doing, but also what's happening in Parliament, and you get some insight.
So if you weren't able to be here today at our meetings, you missed very important discussions that we had on the New Deal for consumers, which introduces very important changes to the Unfair Commercial Practices Directive, the UCPD. But we also talked about the Audiovisual Media Services Directive, the AVMSD, which has been dealt with at EU level, but now we are entering into a very important transposition phase where member states will be taking very important decisions about the rules at place at national level and whether these restrictions need to be potentially stepped up.
WFA is the unique place where actually, for companies like us, different functions in the company, we can meet our peers, anticipate strategic trends in terms of policy making, learn from each other experiences and approaches, and then define together what actually the position that we want to promote for the sustainable growth of our industry as advertisers. So it's extremely valuable as an organization. If it didn't exist, we should invent it.